decisive 3-0 yesterday coming from Celestial's side of things. Could that change up here with notes being taken from yesterday and things that they want to consider? Maybe some map mode combos that were played yesterday could reappear in this counter pick best of 5. Who knows?
You want to know the best part, by the way, Saf? Not just the one. I was chuckling at the makeup exam because yes, you could say that Roulette failed the exam against Celestial. Now Celestial's decision to makeup exam is like, all right, can you solve us? But you want to know the best part here? That map 1, by the way, is Mahi Resort Splat Zones. Happened to be the game 3 map there in that round 6 matchup yesterday too. Obviously, as you know, of course, Celestial won that.
Picking up right where we left off.
Why not back-to-back Mahi zones for this run back for Roulette and Celestial? Well, I guess back-to-back being a little subjective because they did play around 1 earlier, but you catch my drift.
Well, if it's one thing that I hate more when I'm on vacation, Keon, it's when my teachers give me homework and give me things to study for while I'm on vacation. Yeah. So being at Mahi Resorts, trying to enjoy the sights and sounds of the jellies playing in the water park, I have to study for a test to try to beat my opponent because I get the opportunity to fight them again in Alpha Bracket. And especially a team that's not a stranger to Alpha Bracket and has been around the parts of Alpha Bracket and has significant tournament results. Significant in the sense of winning from the Ink Up. Now, I mean, an uphill battle for sure for Roulette. Definitely going to be trying their hands at this again. But I also wonder because I think that Roulette has a very established backline player in L8. And what I mean by that is like more chargers than just Pencil. So I wonder if seeing that the double cooler comp is kind of coming into existence these days and people that can actually balance it well, I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing a shift in the meta to where backline can actually be more viable without a Pencil. I don't know. There's so many more theorists and people that pay way closer attention to this kind of stuff than I do. So I just like to speculate because I could figure out that answer for myself, I think. But speculating's more fun.
Speculation's always the best part about trying to figure out not just get things in weapon comps, also game theories and whatnot. So hey, speculation's good, but we'll get rid of that here in a quick second or so. Which, by the way, to get you guys all up to speed, it is going to be the Nautilus and the Forge Pro. I think that's what we both noted. There's also the S Blast in the mini with the bubble. All right, everything's kind of all over the board for me.
This is so fun.
Go.
This is so much fun. Okay, so not only were they taking notes, they were having a good time with it too. Gosh, only in low ink Alpha Bracket will you see something like this. The team with Celeste with the S-Blast and the Zinni making the first moves to try to take the zone here. They also have a Tentabrella on their side here. And I believe that's Ace on the Brella. Yeah, Ace I believe is a Brella one-trick, mastering in all shapes and sizes of Brella. And for this one, they're choosing to use the Tentabrella.
Which is no surprise there. It's the Tentabrella with the Zuka as well, which of course can't necessarily go wrong with Zuka unless you miss the few of your shots. They're on top of it, but these are good. These are picks that are happening here fast as Roe is able to get 2 of them right out of the gate here. This is just almost full huck out, it feels like, for Celestial there too. Soul's able to get was it kind of zoned them out, excuse me. But we do see Roe going down on top of it. It's 1-for-1 trade, but the more this stalls out, the more it continues to favor Celestial. There's the triple splashdown, desperate triple splashdown, trying to get the zones cap back here, Saf. But with 10 points remaining and still counting, is the contest going to be there? Not with the 2-down situation, not with the 3-down, not with the wipeout. Nothing is going to be available for them with the retake. And so that's Celestial taking game 1 there, Saf.
I really do appreciate the Nautilus coming out and trying to get something working there because there was follow-up with 2 suction bombs. You could see the vision. I saw the vision, Keon. Not quite the execution I think that they were hoping for. However, the vision was there, and they definitely did try to put something together to break back out. However, like you said, a snowball from Celestial. Very familiar gameplay with what the other team was trying to cook up with. So moving into the counter pick scenario, so that is Splatsum's Mahi under Celestial's belts. If Celestial finds themselves in a counter pick scenario, they cannot pick Splatsum's again. So that's cause for concern then. So now that Roulette can actually pick what map that they want to play and not just be left to the devices of the Swiss map list, what what do you think would be a good follow-up for them here, Keon? Especially with the weapon picks. Definitely neither team strangers to unique weapon picks.
I'll be honest here, Seth. This is just my honesty speaking. This is going to be a bit of a tough read with the way Roulette, what Roulette may want to do with what I recall. I think, as you know, there too, you had Celestial with the S Blast. I think they also had the Tenebrillo as well. On the other side for Roulette, I saw the Nautilus. There were so many crazy weapon choices available that I feel like you could go either way with this. They could ultimately make the crazy run back there. We do have the map list on screen for those who are keeping tabs on what maps are available. To know, they have the entire list that they have in their disposal. The question ultimately really does become, what does Roulette want to do? And honestly, Seth, this is kind of a tough read because of how the game kind of played out in Celestial's favor, with it being as snowball as it could possibly get. I feel like Roulette, to no surprise, may want to just pick something that they might be best practiced in, but this also can get a little tricky based on if Celestial's also skilled at that same map there.
Yeah, I do think that maybe shying away from splat zones would be the right call. Just considering that Roulette considering Celestial took the zone and was immediately in the spawning area of. They were immediately in the spawning area, like you blinked and they were there. Like they were there in like no time wasted, and were very present in the spawning area for a long time. So I don't think picking something with a stable objective is the right way to go. So I feel like maybe Rainmaker, which it's like, again, with Rainmaker on a counter pick is like not the best choice of action, but it seems like having something that's a little more mobile could be beneficial.
And some teams probably would default to Rainmaker. I feel like I've seen a lot of Rainmaker counter picks throughout day two. Of course, with my small sample size being a little small there in the past few months, but I feel like there's a lot of ways that Roulette could go, as we're still trying to iron out what counter pick they have. Even I'd imagine, Seth, this is also a bit of a tough call for Roulette, trying to figure out what do they even want to do here, because especially Celestial, I think, already has 4 maps onto them so far in this weekend of in this month's edition of Low Ink. Excuse me. So they're probably looking for, well, what's one we're gonna go with? But Zaf, I think we still have a few more times. We still have a few more minutes here to.
We do. We still have a few more times. Unit
exactly.
Measurements of time.
Measurement of time will be good. You can tell I'm still trying to wake up a little bit here.
We still have a couple of units, but listen, we finally got our map mode figured out, you guys. We're coming up, and actually, this was like second on my mind, I think, for a counter pick choice. Not so much the map, but the mode. So Clan Blitz Museum de Alfonsino. Basket is really, really far back in front of the spawning area on this map. It has the giant spinner. There's a lot of different positions to take when the team fight makes it into the spawning point. I really think that Roulette, being the ones picking this, they need to be really mindful of how they want to move forward with this, because as we saw before, Celestial are not shy with taking position and then leaving position to be more aggressive, because they only left one person in the back defending the zone when the Nautilus broke through and tried to triple splash down on it. They only left one person behind as defense, as like safety measure. Mm-hmm. And so it leaves me to think that when you have something like Clan Blitz where the basket is in one place, you have to keep throwing things into that thing that's in one place. Yeah, just how do you want to, I guess, pace yourself in this with a team like Celestial that is not shy with putting objective to the side a little bit to play more aggressively once they have it.
And that's all I feel, and I feel like you're right on the money there. I feel like this is going to be the riddle that Roulette's going to have to solve here in this makeup exam against Celestial, effectively speaking there, because we saw how fast and aggressive Celestial played in that first map alone. And yeah, you put the objective on the side because we're going to be like, all right, we can move forward. We know that the objective is pretty much in our position. Now the ultimate question really becomes, how do you deal with this? Their response, by the way, Saf, is an Ink Rush. A little bit more skirmishy, if you will. I actually don't know there are any changes that I'm trying to recall from Celestial's end. So the Celestial ultimately keeping what they had in store for them, majority-wise. But I'm gonna be intrigued to see how this how keep the Nautilus and then trying to go with a little bit more of a skirmish game with that brush is gonna play out, and especially with the first handful of minutes where both teams are trying to get that power clan spawn, and it's gonna be something to look out for throughout the next 4 minutes, 40 seconds.
4 minutes 40 seconds.
Yep.
The time unit measurement. So Inu switching out and being on that ink brush, I think having more mobility for Roulette could be really major here, as they could see that they're trying to maybe mirror the type of movement that Celestial is making, but Celestial being the first ones to have such high clam economy, that's 0 on the side of Roulette and 2 power clams to boost for the side of Celestial. However, it seems like the fight that Celestial was trying to put up gets taken back down to the pit area, and that's actually a wipeout onto Celestial. So the narrative now is changing for Roulette.
And the way that Roulette was able to snuff out the push that Celestial was trying to do was very well solid. Especially with the wipeout and the fact they had a power climb available. Now you get to see the silly moment where the brush is just like, all right, we're gonna just move fast. We're not there with that brush. Excuse me, and get the first cash in. Yeah, you did lose the majority of play, but I feel like the goal that they had in mind was, let's just get the first points on the board, give ourselves an opening push to work off of, and then just go from there. And that's definitely not a bad plan, especially if you are Roulette. But now your next riddle here, the next question you're having to solve is, now the Celestial's back in your base here at this stage. How do you deal with the rest? How do you deal with everybody else? Is the brush gonna be the answer? Inu takes out Ace on top of it. 2 members, by the way, are gonna go down. 4 is gonna have to retreat just a bit. I think Roulette may have figured something out here.
Yeah, to me it seems like Inu being on that brush is the answer that Roulette was looking for, because that was the key in their basket pop previously. It was also really key for collapsing in on Celestial's push, because they were about to take that platform wholeheartedly before Inu could break through and actually stop the aggressive push from the side there. However, Ace with this Tentebrella is also pretty menacing, Keon. Already I've seen Ace block multiple Trizuka shots, and I mean, you only have 3 to utilize, and so having one being eaten up completely by a Tentebrella is not advantageous at all for what you're trying to go for. But again, that's going to be Inu in a great spot on the platform there to try to break the basket open again, and eliminating the penalty at that. L8 trying to follow up with another power climb of their own, and it seems like the members of Celestial are a little bit flabbergasted, quite honestly, Keon, because I don't know if they were really anticipating the amount of basket breaking that Roulette has been able to accomplish so far.
I feel, and most of it really just boils down to it. I know we put a lot of highlights on that ink brush, but it feels like it changed the entire dynamic of how this team plays. That's a very silly Zuka miss there. I'm not sure how that missed, but yeah, 2 members going down for Roulette. But Roulette's game feels like it's predated on how Inu wants to push the pace with that brush. They're able to win out a few skirmishes there, a few fights of their own, and Celestial's like, all right, now Inu's just giving us a little bit of problems there. Now we have to figure out how to adjust. But by the time they're still trying to figure things out, Roulette's is just taking all that they can. They've already stopped a few Celestial pushes that could have easily developed, and on top of it too, we see that Inu's also trying to push that pace. We saw just that one and done push. Yes, you only break through just 4 extra points. It may not seem a whole lot in the long run, but it's causing Celestial probably having to think twice a bit here, Saf.
Yeah, and especially too, I feel like Ace is like one of the stronger players available at the moment on Celestial, and if you keep displacing that Tentebrella and not really allowing them the space to move forward, then you kind of are doing a really good thing. And consistently we keep seeing Inu coming up behind different folks on on Celestial and taking them down in a delayed wipe scenario. But at the same time, Keon, I think Celestial has been a lot better about the clam collection and increasing their economy. However, I also think that's what's been kind of a detriment to them, to be honest, because just in that moment, there were 3 power clams all being held by members of Celestial. So immediately, like, that's a target on your back. That's cause for concern for Roulette to push forward and to come out and call you out and find you. And consistently, I feel like this is the type of battle we've been seeing, where it's Roulette that has a really strong hold on mid, and they're just kind of taking out the members of Celestial one by one.
And the other counterpoint to that is, if Roulette were to lose the fight in theory, that would have been a very devastating push that could have just broke the floodgates wide open. But right now with that stop, now they have to start regathering fence. But by the time this all happens, Roulette's like, all right, we're done here. Let's just get all the clams in that basket. They've already broken it down to 48 points range. Ultimately, the goal is prevent OT at this point. You've already kept this basket open for just long enough. And yeah, because they also had the lead on top of it when they broke that broke the basket open. No overtime to really speak of. And hey, that's a great response from Roulette. They tied the setup 1-1.
Yeah, I player of the game for that entire thing for me was Inu, because making that shift to the ink brush, you said it perfectly. Like, the entire pace of the game of how Roulette was going to even execute any sort of push or sort of play was definitely orchestrated by Inu, and how much Inu wanted to be forward or backward with their ink brush. And I think that, again, but I also think that in a way that was Roulette playing the long game, because they kept meticulously breaking the basket open over and over again until that final basket pop where they eliminated 30 points off. Like, a third of their points were gone in that final basket pop. And not only that, but you had Inu in those final, like, single digits taking down 2 people with them. So that's 2 people on Celestial that cannot defend the basket anymore. So playing the long game, playing it meticulously, having somebody lead the charge in the fight to initiate the team fight was definitely what Roulette needed. And I'm wondering now that Celestial is on the counterpick side, which I don't know if they anticipated that, Keon, especially from day one getting a 3-0 against Roulette. I don't think they anticipated being the ones counterpicking. So they cannot pick splat zones again. They cannot, they can pick Clam Blitz again. They cannot pick Splat Zones again. So Splat Zones was a really easy win for them. We thought, it made us maybe think that, like, how the rest of it was going to go. But now Roulette's not making me not so sure. And so with the counter pick that Celestial's going to go with, we're going to pick Undertow Spillway, and we're going to be playing Rainmaker. So again, a fast-paced game, more mobile objective. You have to pop 2 checkpoints to really get to what you want, sure. But more mobile objective, more fluidity in how you want to play it. But if Inu keeps that brush, Keon, you have to adjust to the flow that Roulette is trying to put out on the table.
I have 3 quick points to bring up to you because we'll touch on Inu that you tossed me for. This is also, as you know, there too, first map win for Roulette against Celestial in basically the 5 map attempts there too. So they found something. The other problem that we saw on the previous map is the initiator, I feel like, was going to be Roy there on that S-Blast, but Roy couldn't get anything going from what it felt like. It was all just trying to play catch up from minute 1, and Inu kind of just played them like a fiddle. And the third part is, if Inu wants to return back with that brush, is all right. We found something with the brush that we could use to help dictate our offense, but now you dish out this counterbreak with Undertow Rainmaker, again a very common map mode combination you'll see in Rainmaker. So both teams, I can only imagine, being as practiced as they are, they may have plans already set in stone. The ultimate question I'm going to have is, what changes will Celestial want to make, if any? If Celestial wants to keep it the same, we have to look out for if Roy can get any value out of that S-Blast on top of it as well. Yeah, you have the other members like the 10 Umbrella and the Zap, but they can't necessarily move too far up, and they're just mainly there to help protect the rest of the team, either through cooler or just shielding other shots. So that's the one thing I want to keep an eye on what Celestial wants to do. We look into that Undertow Rainmaker map right now. Game 3 coming up here as we take a look at the changes. Again, Inu decides to dish out. I have to make sure that might be the vanilla sploosh there that I'm seeing. And now this is where the true change comes in here.
Neo Luna.
God damn it! Google has the T-Tech and Rally this time, dishing out a different blaster.
Yeah, I really feel my good friend Kia Dena in this Chili's tonight with that Neo Luna blaster. Shout out to you, Kia, if you're in the chat right now. That one's for you. Celestial is here for you. First Rainmaker touch, though, going to be had by Inu, and that is on the side of Roulette. Looking in on the left-hand side on that first checkpoint. The cooler, though, going to get rarely easy for Celestial to move fast and follow up here, but not quick enough. Oh, just quick enough, just barely quick enough to prevent the first checkpoint falling.
Yeah, just almost, that was as clutch as you could possibly get if you're Celestial on that end. But moving just a bit backwards, they're just not ready to have Inu just show up right now as Inu already gets 2 there. They're just using the Ultra Sand really to just break that Rainmaker side open, and the rest of the team follows up with getting a few more picks. You're going to see maybe a little bit of stagger here. Should be the first checkpoint. No, not quite yet. Not quite able to slam it home for that first checkpoint there. But again, the rest of the team is just right there surrounding this Rainmaker. with Abandon. The one thing I wanted to quickly note though is I need to see how this Luna is gonna get value there, because really on that Luna already going down on top of it, it's gonna be the open question. And they also have the T-Tech as well if they want to make that one happen. Of course, the order T-Tech is the variant I'm gonna leverage her. So they switched that cooler option to the heavy edit. It's a lot of different changes that Celestial's trying to dish out at this point in time, but they're the one having to play a little bit behind. I say a little bit because the checkpoint isn't clear yet.
Yeah, and you know that's cause for concern, Keon, because that means that there was a conversation that was had with Celestial. And the conversation being that there are some changes that had to be made in order for success to work out. Phenomenal spam throw by Inu there, taking out the body block that was on the Rainmaker previously, but that is the Rainmaker going down. That's almost Google going down as well, in a nice pincer maneuver from Orkanite and Inu. So Rainmaker again being held by Roulette here. I mean, Keon, luck is on Roulette's side. I mean, I don't know, dude, red or black.
I'm gonna maybe I'll pick red just for the sake of picking the color there. But the other thing I wanted, so hey, I'm that's what I'm gonna pick for them. But how about Roulette so far though? You noted that Inu already had dictated the pace with the brush. It feels like the sploosh. Inu is just trying to enable the rest of the team to just go for. All right, we don't even need a brush. Let's just dish out the sploosh. Sploosh fans will be very happy to see it pull through there. But we're gonna have to pump the brakes on that. Celestial already just broke through the first checkpoint. They got wiped out, but they got what they needed to get out of that one. First checkpoint's already cleared out, and Celestial had a much longer response.
Not too much of a cushion to work with, though, especially because Roulette is already quick to respond and trying to actually follow up on the right-hand side this time, moving as quick as they possibly can. That's Ace going down from the Tentabrella side. That's huge. You can see the Pencil trying to give a little bit of support to Anu. Anu is being really patient with how they want to push this Keon and actually opting to change sides. They're going to go back to the left. That was a really good call-out probably made by Orkanite here. However, it's the upside of that spawning area is actually not that big. It's so small, so it's easy to actually shift over to whatever side the opposing team wants to try to go on. So immediately that's going to stop the push from Anu. Still not getting the checkpoint for Roulette here. First checkpoint having fallen for Celeste. However, that's going to be a wipeout on Celeste. Keon, I didn't even see what happened there. I saw two people go down, and then suddenly the word wipeout comes across my screen. Finally, that's Roulette breaking the checkpoint. Only 1 point between them and the lead.
Yeah, and that's one of those quick cases there. I think it was almost a blink and you missed it, because I also missed some of it too. I'm sure we might get a replay of it later there. But that also quickly flipped lead the other direction. I did see Inu at least get the support on that third splat, but because they lost two right out of the game, and then of course the wipeout appeared on screen so quickly, it's gonna be one of those intriguing things here for Roulette, trying to see if they can keep this momentum up ahead. Excuse me, but Solar and the rest of the Celestial crew is able to get a few out of there, and this is gonna be this ultra stamp battle there. Already collapsed on the Inu. Inu was completely sandwiched, surrounded by 3 members. This Zuka pick is incredibly clutch. It's two down on both sides. The rest of Celestial surrounded Rainmaker. Sap, this could be a picture-perfect finish coming up.
Yeah, that was a really, really gutsy move by Inu to hope that Orkanite would be there to follow up with the Trizuka. However, not enough defensive pressure as Celeste now flipping the script and taking the lead once again. 5 points on the lead. That's Orkanite picking up the Rainmaker to try to maybe delay the members of Celeste from causing any more damage. Unfortunately going down and delayed in the wipe. That is Celeste following up and taking game 3. I mean, it's a trade for trade situation, Keon. Either way, we're going to game 4.
Does it kind of remind you of the previous round we just did, that best of 3, where you kind of get to see the back and forth, of course, ignoring the fact that game 1 was a full wipeout? Now we're kind of seeing that for just this map in the previous, now we're just seeing it more in this map. Last 2 maps were basically almost as one-sided as you could possibly get, and now we got to see this whole back and forth chain happen as well. I know we put a lot of focus on Inu and Roulette, but Celestial's like, all right, we've had enough of you trying to gas up Inu. Now it's time for our show to start. And they really couldn't have cut that anywhere close at the very end too, with about less than 30 seconds, which also meant if you got the lead, makes it much more tougher for the defending team to get back, because now they got to race that Rainmaker to the other direction and play that one perfectly. Celestial ultimately played their cards right, and I feel like it was almost a team effort as much as the other for Celestial to win that one.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I think the fact that that Anu had such unique weapon picks, because once again I feel that for Roulette it was Anu leading that charge and just trying to be the first one to break in and throw the first punch for the members of Roulette. And here on the replay, so it was Roulette all the way down. We had it down to the 62. It was kind of a back and forth, and every time the team fight would fall apart would be in this corner for both sides. So whether it was Anu with their very engaging stamp gameplay, engaging in the fact that they would consistently find picks with their stamp, or it was in the sense of like the folks of Celestial in this corner right here. This is, I believe, where it all kind of came to a head. The folks of Celestial have enough people to try to follow up and to get something really going here. So it's challenging, because now I feel like Roulette, either way, Keon, Roulette really took down some notes yesterday. And I feel like they really know what they're doing, and they came to play, they came to win today against Celestial.
I think, yep.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the big factor here as well is not only taking the notes that they had against Celestial too, is that I feel like Roulette now putting a focus on Inu also goes the other direction too. This is the last 30 seconds there, where the rest of Celestial kind of just held position. They're trying to wait for the jump time, which is very smart for that team, because that gives the proper reinforcements that they need, because that lead was not remotely safe in the slightest. And giving that reinforcements there, getting everybody reset back up was as smart as you could possibly get on Celestial's end. Now Roulette, you had your focus with it. You put a lot of focus on Inu. Celestial also had to understood the assembly, saying, all right, they're going to put a lot of focus on Inu. Why don't we try to figure out ways to shut Inu down? Because we kind of know how Inu is going to try to play this one out for their team. And it did take the last minute, but for Celestial, they at least figured out when it started to matter the most, especially with the points that were cashed in on Rainmaker. We got ship-shaped cargo tower control coming up, which is as a very snowbally map past the first one, and I feel like depending on who gets the better start, whether it's Inu enabling Roulette or Celestial as a team trying to find the key picks and trying to just swarm over to Roulette's side, I think that's really what we could see between these two teams here, opening up in ship-shaped cargo tower control.
Yeah, and I want to bring another comment back to Ace, our 10th player that we've been observing in this best of 5. I'm wondering too, 3 different modes of Ace playing the 10th umbrella. Are they going to want to change to a different umbrella with something like ship-shaped cargo? Not to say that 10 isn't useful here, but I'm wondering if maybe a different umbrella for the final game mode of the 4, because now we are seeing the 4th of the 4 game modes on this best of 5, which is kind of fun and honestly a little peculiar. I'm just so used to seeing so much splat zones and then the occasional clam blitz thrown in there. But getting to see one of each is a pretty refreshing on the comm desk side of things. But anyways, I'm wondering if maybe the tent is going to be a different pick this time coming out from Ace. I'm also wondering, I feel like Anu kind of just keeps us guessing. We did see the brush on Clam Blitz. We saw the splash on Rainmaker. Are they going to keep it close range on tower control as well? Especially because they are someone that likes to instigate fights, but they're also somebody that likes to shut down the push when applicable. So they want to have something that can hit hard and hit fast, but they also like to get really close and personal. So how you want to do that with tower control, I'm not really sure. But when you also have somebody like Orcanite that can follow you up with it. Look at this. You see what I'm saying? To keep us guessing. They're now playing the heavy Splatling Deco with the Kraken. And actually the Forge is making its way back from Orcanite. So we're taking out the Trizuka completely. Not sure how that's going to pan out, especially because Ace is still holding onto the Tentrella with their own Trizuka.
I have some on-paper concerns right out of the gate here with Roulette. This is almost as mid to backline as you could possibly get for this group. So you're not gonna have much in the way of being in your face and playing with aggression. You're gonna have to take full advantage of your range with the weapons that you have dished out. Roy, by the way, switching back to the S-Blast being the big thing. That's the thing you'll need to keep an eye on, is how does the rest of Roulette take care of Celestial with the range that they have? Inu going over to that heavy deck with the Kraken is a bit, I don't know if perplexing is the word to use. Just a little surprising, I guess, really is the best way to go about it. And that's the one thing you will have to keep tabs on, especially with this kind of mid to back line heavy comp kind of being used. But hey, I guess I'm wrong in a lot of aspects here, as they've already broke through the first checkpoint, but not able to get that snowball past the 48 points remaining there. It's a pretty strong hold from Celestial so far, and Orca going down will probably will also slow things just a little bit, unless Inu wants to be brave and just get the power pushing anyway. So.
Yeah, that was an interesting jump coming from Inu to try to see how far they could really take things down to the 36 mark, which is actually pretty far in the grand scheme of things. But 3 specials available on the side of Celestial now, but that's the S-Blast going down, so that's a Booyah Bomb that doesn't come to fruition, unfortunately. Tri-Strike's being popped, though. The cooler is now out. We are juiced up on the side of Celestial. First checkpoint being tackled here. You can see there already, though, there's 2 different members kind of defending that tower, and Celestial is not going to overextend themselves here, Keon. They want the folks of Roulette to really take their chances and come to them. So look at Anu trying to use maximum range here. They don't even know that they're there, but they actually eventually get called out, but that's not going to matter as the lead now being lost. That's going to be Celestial changing the script and taking the lead back from Roulette, and Rowie having the time of their lives in the spawning area there. That is a delayed wipe, and finally leading to the ultimate wipeout. The Booyah Bomb coming out for some coverage, and GG's. There it goes, the battle. That's Celestial taking the game 4.
I get the idea that they tried to do from Roulette's end, just trying to see if they can play a range game, but it's a little... I'm not sure if that was the path that some would necessarily take against a team that you kind of have an idea of what they're going to try to run there, the S-Blast and the Tentabell, and then of course they're going to have a weapon that is close to upfront as they possibly could with the N-Zap, or the T-Tech, or the Order T-Tech for that matter. So that's one of those cases where also to factor in a little bit of a wind-up time as well with that heavy Deca, which is on their playmaking player there in Inu. So it's one of those cases where maybe they may have tried to get something ready to go, but by the time that all happens, they're already being collapsed onto them, having to play a little bit more passively. And Roulette ultimately ran out of the base there from mid to finish line. But I do got to give a lot of credit though to Celestial there, at least being able to hold their own. Yes, they only just dropped the 1 map against Roulette, but Celestial, quick adaptations, able to take care of Vito in the game 3, and this one they understood the assignment and knew what to do, having to deal with the very heavy mid to backline setup.
Yeah, but what an insane amount of growth from day 1 to day 2, because the first time there was no wins to be had for Roulette. They lost. Luck was not on their side. They lost the draw. They lost. The ball did not landed on black, and they were going for red. Like it wasn't in their favor. But with today, they came back with different notes. They came back with a different understanding and outlook of how Celestial likes to do things. And yeah, they were able to take one game. Unfortunately, still were not able to find success and triumph over Celestial, but they were able